The Namibian Constitution, narrated by Apple Light. Chapter 10, The Ombudsman. Article 89, Establishment and Independence. 1. There shall be an Ombudsman who shall have the powers and functions set out in this Constitution. 2. The Ombudsman shall be independent and subject only to this Constitution and the law. 3. No member of the Cabinet or the legislature or any other person shall interfere with the Ombudsman in the exercise of his or her functions, and all organs of the state shall accord such assistance as may be needed for the protection of the independence, dignity, and effectiveness of the Ombudsman. 4. The Ombudsman shall either be a judge of Namibia or a person possessing the legal qualifications which would entitle him or her to practice in all the courts of Namibia. Article 90. Appointment and term of office. 1. The Ombudsman shall be appointed by proclamation by the President on the recommendation of the Judicial Service Commission. 2. The Ombudsman shall hold office until the age of 65, but the President may extend the retiring age of any Ombudsman to 70. Article 91. Functions. The functions of the Ombudsman shall be defined and prescribed by an Act of Parliament and shall include the following. A. The duty to investigate complaints concerning alleged or apparent instances of violations of fundamental rights and freedoms, abuse of power, unfair, harsh, insensitive, or discourteous treatment of an inhabitant of Namibia by an official in the employ of any organ of government, open bracket, whether central or local, close bracket, manifest injustice, or conduct by such official which would properly be regarded as unlawful, oppressive, or unfair in a democratic society. Open bracket. Subarticle A is amended by the Namibian Constitution, Second Amendment, Act 7 of 2010. Close bracket. B. The duty to investigate complaints concerning the functioning of the Public Service Commission, administrative organs of the state, the defense force, the police force, and the correctional service, insofar as such complaints relate to the failure to achieve a balanced structuring of such services or equal access by all to the recruitment of such services or fair administration in relation to such services. Open bracket. Subarticle B is amended by the Namibian Constitution, Second Amendment, Act 7 of 2010. Close bracket. C. The duty to investigate complaints concerning the overutilization of living natural resources, the irrational exploitation of non-renewable resources, the degradation and destruction of ecosystems, and failure to protect the beauty and character of Namibia. D. The duty to investigate complaints concerning practices and actions by persons, enterprises, and other private institutions where such complaints allege that violations of fundamental rights and freedoms under this Constitution have taken place. E. The duty and power to take appropriate action to call for the remedying, correction, and reversal of instances specified in the preceding subarticles through such means as are fair, proper, and effective, including A. Negotiation and compromise between the parties concerned. B. Causing the complaint and his or her finding thereon to be reported to their superior of an offending person. C. Referring the matter to the Prosecutor General. D. Bringing proceedings in a competent court for an interdict or some other suitable remedy to secure the termination of the offending action or conduct, or the abandonment or alteration of the offending procedures. EE. Bringing proceedings to interdict the enforcement of such legislation or regulation by challenging its validity of the offending action or conduct is sought to be justified by subordinate legislation or regulation which is grossly unreasonable or otherwise ultra vires. FF. Reviewing such laws as were in operation before the date of independence in order to ascertain whether they violate the letter or the spirit of this Constitution, and to make consequential recommendations to the President, the Cabinet, or the Attorney General for appropriate action following thereupon. F. The duty to investigate vigorously all instances of alleged or suspected misappropriation of public monies by officials and to take appropriate steps, including reports to the Prosecutor General and the Auditor General pursuant thereto. Open bracket. Subarticle F is amended by the Namibian Constitution, Second Amendment, Act 7 of 2010. Close bracket. G. The duty to report annually to the National Assembly on the exercise of his or her powers and functions. Article 92. Powers of investigation. The powers of the Ombudsman shall be defined by Act of Parliament and shall include the power A. To issue subpoenas requiring the attendance of any person before the Ombudsman and the production of any document or record relevant to any investigation by the Ombudsman. B. To cause any person contemptuous of any such subpoena to be prosecuted before a competent court. C. To question any person. D. To require any person to cooperate with the Ombudsman and to disclose truthfully and frankly any information within his or her knowledge relevant to any investigation of the Ombudsman. Article 93. Meaning of, quote, official, close quote. For the purposes of this chapter, the word, quote, official, close quote, shall, unless the context otherwise indicates, include any elected or appointed official or employee of any organ of the central or local government, any official of a parastatal enterprise owned or managed or controlled by the state, or in which the state or the government has substantial interest, or any officer of the defense force, the police force, or the correctional service, but shall not include a judge of the Supreme Court or High Court, or, insofar as a complaint concerns the performance of a judicial function, any other judicial officer. Open bracket. Article 93 is amended by the Namibian Constitution, Second Amendment, Act 7 of 2010. Not all of the changes are indicated by the amendment markings. Close bracket. Article 94. Removal from office. 1. The Ombudsman may be removed from office before the expiry of his or her term of office by the President acting on the recommendation of the Judicial Service Commission. 2. The Ombudsman may only be removed from office on the ground of mental incapacity or for gross misconduct, and in accordance with the provisions of Subarticle 3 hereof. 3. If the Judicial Service Commission considers that the question of removing the Ombudsman under this article ought to be investigated, it shall establish a tribunal which A. shall consist of a chairperson and not less than 2 other members who hold or have held judicial office. B. Shall inquire into the matter and report on the facts thereof to the Judicial Service Commission. And C. If, after considering that report, the Judicial Service Commission, after due deliberation, recommends that the President removes the Ombudsman for any reason referred to in Subarticle 2, the President must remove the Ombudsman from office. Open bracket. Subarticle 3 is substituted by the Namibian Constitution, 3rd Amendment, Act 8 of 2014. Close bracket. 4. Open bracket. Subarticle 4 is deleted by the Namibian Constitution, 3rd Amendment, Act 8 of 2014. Close bracket. That is Chapter 10 of the Namibian Constitution. If you liked this video, if you found it useful or informative, make sure to like the video and share it. And if you'd like to track the video series, be notified every time a new part or chapter is uploaded, then of course subscribe to the channel. Until the next one.